This episode is about time intention strategies. Hi there, and welcome to the Live Full Work Fun podcast. This season, we're exploring the theme Don't Let the Start Stop You. It's a powerful reminder that while beginnings can be daunting, they're also the gateway to growth, success, and happiness. Throughout this season, we are discussing how to push through those initial difficulties and take that important first step towards your big goals, even when it feels overwhelming. I'm Gayla Scrivener, joined by my co host, Fran Attilio. Hey there, Fran.
Hey, Gayla.
You know, one of those things that can feel overwhelming is not having enough time.
It's my one of my favorite topics.
Every one of us struggle with our one and only limitation. You often say there's only that we're limit limitless beings, right? There's no limits in what we can do. But the one thing that does have limits is our time. We can't get it back. So there are so many time management methods out there and hacks and all of that. And I know that from the past, there are some things that just make me feel like, oh my gosh, there's no way I could do that method the way that someone has outlined a time management hack. But I think that as we had talked about in a past episode about frameworks, it's good to hear what works for some people, and how we can incorporate that into our lives. And I thought we could dive into talking about there's got to be a better word for than time management. I'm not sure what that is. What do you, I just thought we could talk about how we had mindset shifts in how we block our time or how we deal with the time constraints we have in accomplishing our goals.
I
Maybe
love
it's
that, Gayla.
maybe it's time intention. I don't know.
Well, you mentioned mindset shift, and my mindset shift towards time ties into the idea of mantras and the power of thought, and change my theory on change of the thought, change everything. If your brain focuses on the words it hears, it doesn't know the difference. So if you're always saying I don't have enough time, that's exactly what will happen. You will constantly find yourself in a space where you don't have enough time. I have shifted to time as my ally. It's my greatest ally. It is I just have to be resourceful with it. And so shifting to time being my ally, my friend, and it's up to me to personally know how to make the most of it and then find those tools that work for me. And that's why you and I share a lot of different tools, because we always offer our listeners take what works and leave the rest. But it's this shift for me that time is my ally, time is my friend, which I know for a lot of people, they're going, what? Excuse me?
Well, and we had talked in the past about just the act of being busy, the business of being, what was that? The busyness.
The busyness. Yeah. The that idea that being busy is like a badge of honor.
Yeah. And and this is not I had some really a couple of really big aha moments for myself that I and methods that I wanted to share uh, for me that really shifted my mind of and allowed me to it gave me permission in some ways to think differently, to adjust my how I spent my time without feeling guilt, without feeling even more stress. First of all, I know that in the past, it's like if I tried time blocking, because one of my things is time blocking in my Google Calendar. But in the past, I would I found myself, it was like 24/7. Where in the heck am I going to sleep? But I would have time blocks for work related stuff like 24/7. That's a setup for failure, right?
Yeah. I'm cringing inside for you.
Really, because there's so much to do, so much that we want to do. And I think that when we're really work focused, that we that's all we tend to schedule on our calendars. And we don't give ourselves permission to put on our calendars anything but appointments. Like, and I know I found myself have full of back-to-back phone calls or back-to-back meetings. And it's like, holy,
Yep.
holy goodness, I don't know when I'm going to actually do the work. But when we're trying to be into this productive mode, we fill our time with I've got to meet with all of these people and I'm networking, I'm doing this and you have in my calendar the green color are like actual face-to-face appointments and I had a, a butt ton of those and and that caused so much overwhelm. And even going back to one of my primary goals is to be able to work from anywhere, and working from anywhere has some travel time with it because I want to be able to travel and see things. Well, if I'm doing 24/7 calls and being available for people 24/7, when the heck am I going to do that? And when Robert and I would go on our traveling times, there was a lot of stress because I would have meetings on days and there was so much tension on, okay, we're traveling today, but I've got to stop and I've got to take this call. We're traveling this day. And there wasn't really a rhythm of what now I call been there doing that days and and really client focus days. And one of the biggest mindset shifts that I had, and it took me a while, but I gave myself permission to block Friday through Monday as been there doing that days. I mean those in general are what I call been there doing that days. And I also put in parentheses as a tribute to you. It's my flow days. It's not my quote unquote work days because in the past I'm thinking, well, it's Monday through Friday. I am supposed to have office hours Monday through Friday and have that exact traditional work time. And when I gave myself permission to actually block, and it's color coded on my calendar on Google all the time. Therefore, I had back, I guess what you do, you set up your Calendly. I don't use Calendly anymore, but I use a similar system that where appointments for that can be set on my calendar for client calls or whatever are reserved for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I gave myself permission to do that. And I tell you what, at first it was very, very hard because I thought I should be open and available whenever anybody else needed me. But when I started doing that, it made the travel so much easier. And then I continue that schedule even out when we're not traveling. And for the last almost 5 years, that mindset shift of simply putting been there doing that days and client focused days has given me the permission to say no. I can't I can't meet on a Friday because I'm going to be traveling. Or yes, I can meet. I because life happens, right? So that's that was one of my biggest mindset shifts with time blocking and actually looking at it on my Google Calendar and adhering to it. And communication between Robert and I have been spot on a lot easier when we're trying to do things together as well.
Time blocking is a great skill. I love that you recognized that empty space is okay and that back to back calls is not productive. Not just not productive because you don't have a minute to recap, catch your, but catch your breath, reset your brain, especially if you're going client to client, right? Because there's definitely a mindset shift in itself dealing with one client versus another because they're different people. Um, I I've always loved and used time blocking. In my own way, I have a little bit different flow, but the biggest block for me change was I recently hit the beginning of this year and I found myself with what you just described. I looked at my week and it was so I code to like, so blue, light blue is a face to face meeting. My whole calendar from Monday to Friday was blue. Where am I getting the work done? So I said to my team, I love you all. Here's the deal. If you're going to schedule a call for me, make sure that it's like it needs to happen. I'm not going to get on a call with someone who's going to ask me a question that could be answered on email, or they're just looking for, kind of someone else to solve the problem or just a venting board. Do some pre work and get those calls vetted. But I also added, and this is my favorite thing, and they are green in my calendar, no call zones. They are 2 to 3 hour blocks at least 3 times a week where I get the work done. And I will, I have a little bit of flexibility with that. I could shift it, like Tuesday afternoons, for example, is one no call zone. I'm happy to shift that to the morning if somebody needed to book a call in the afternoon, but that call zone stays intact, that amount of time. But that was a big one for me. And it really is, especially for the world we live in and the things like busyness and getting a lot done and packing in that calendar, all these things we were taught, no matter the generation, no matter the age, because I see this done in schools, I see this done in businesses. It's this, you got to pack it all in. It's not productive. And when in this shift, what's really interesting, I've gotten more done by cutting out those, by creating the no call zones. I'm still getting to all my clients. I'm still taking care of the important calls and I'm getting more done. And I'm like, it feels like I waved a magic wand, even though I know it was just simply committing to what was right and best for me.
You and I both use Google Calendar,
Yeah.
right? You use Google Calendar. You know, I, you know how Google Calendar has, you can set up different calendars and then you can overlay them and turn them on and off.
Yeah. Oh, I
And
love
you
that.
can get way out of hand. I have gotten way out of hand on that, trying to be too detailed and such. I have since pulled back. I, of course, Robert and I we I have a shared calendar with Robert. So I see what events he wants to go to or what he's going to, and I turn that one on and off because, and then he can see. Well, actually, I turned off my calendar so he can't see that because that overwhelmed him. Because he was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know." Because the color coding works for me and everything, but when he just asks me, and so that works better for us. But I am down to two calendars that I work with. I that my main calendar where my appointments live And then I have one that layers into it is the focus time, what I call my focus calendar. And so on my main calendar, I have just that recurring time that, that shows up at the very top, that it spans for days. And that is Friday through Monday. My been there doing that block time, and that's one color, and you can override and have appointments. It's open time. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are open times for client focus. And that's just given me grounding. But then my focus time, I do time blocks of, okay, I want to focus on content writing for this block of time. I want to focus on this client, and try to arrange that to kind of foresee my intention of what I want to do. But I tell you, I rearrange that and I see so that I can see on my main calendar, I have real appointments and that empty space, you know, and what am I intentionally wanting to fill in that empty space? And And if a Calendly appointment falls in, I can rearrange. But I, I do that focus time kind of short term, and I kind of look at it and it's like, ooh, where am I going to plan my week? And I do that. So that's a visual. And then I kind of mark that. If lose the mark, it's like, oh, my day shifted and I couldn't focus on that particular client today like I intended. I shift it to go over there, or I look at my appointments that I have, and then like my client appointments, then I shift my client focus to like right around those times as well. Add those. So I find that helpful for using multiple calendars, but I've gotten carried away and I don't want to get too detailed on it because then for me, I was setting myself up for failure because then I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't get to do this at the exact time that I intended to do it. So I guess my day is crap now. So, I mean, really, I mean, that's what we have to be careful for. I think off camera, you were talking about the intention. We need to we should block, if we're going to do time blocking, then we should be realistic that there is going to be time shifts. And like you had an example of if you're not going to get to the gym at 7 p.m.
Life doesn't end. Well, in order to make time your ally, in order to do the things you're talking about, Gayla, we live by it at work, but I live by this in my own life. You see the month, you plan the week, you live the day, but the month isn't, I don't see June. I see the next 4 weeks and what's got to happen in the next 4 weeks. And that could shift the priorities of this week, even from when I looked at it last Monday. So you do this kind of 4 week look ahead, inspired by someone who in the construction business taught me this. And I thought, what a genius idea. Because a lot of people think about, what do I have to get done in June? But months are a domino effect. Weeks are a domino effect. So you sit there and you see that, and then you have that intention added in. Time quickly becomes your ally when you learn how to shift, flow, see what needs to happen, and say, okay, I thought this week I was going to focus on this, or I thought this week I was going to fix my doorbell. Yes, I'm going to be doing that after this recording. But I got to shift because this is now happening. I had to put this appointment in, or now this project, the timeline has moved up. So it's a lot of people, and I know this is easier. You and I are both Aquarians on the zodiac chart, so we have no problem flowing and bending and changing, and that's how our brains go. We love it. And I know others like Capricorns, they love their A to B straight line. And I can say that because one of my daughters is a Capricorn, and um, that is where that flexibility has to come in, because time is tied to planning, whether it be personal or professional. And going into that plan, whatever the plan may be, painting something, doing a project at work, there has to be a level of flexibility. And that's how you don't miss those golden moments of time, because you're able to say, okay, I need to shift from this task to this task. And I'm still moving forward on the plan, but it's just there's this time is limited, but it's also fluid. So, um,
Well, I love that, that you're reminding us to plan, the month, week, then the
live
day,
the day.
live the day. And you overall need to be guided on your goals to help you know what to say yes and no to. And uh, and it hit me that why, but I'm looking at my July calendar, and I had already made the promise to myself, I'm going to take a week off for quote unquote vacation. Right. Well, I'm going to be at an event that's going to be very hard to have um, internet anyway. And if I have the internet, I don't want to be stressed. I want to be experiencing the event and be full on in and enjoy that experience. If I have time and I'm moved to do something for what work, then I should be moved. I want to have that whole week as a flowy week. So I am now asking myself, because what I do in the past is like, okay, I live in the day and I'm like, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. It's important to look ahead at the month ahead or the months ahead. And I had started asking myself, okay, what can I do now that will set me up for just leaving the computer for a whole week and not have, emergencies? So that has given me, it has adjusted my month focus schedule, my weekly focus schedule, and I'm back and I'm living the day, and I might be working a little bit longer in some days, in some hours or minutes that I was intending on me time, but I'm going to have that me time, so I'm building up, I guess I could say. So I love that you remind us, it's like you need to look out in the future so that you know how to plan your month, your week, and then live the day.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
love that.
perspective. You ever, when you're landing in an airplane, and how all the trucks look like dots, and then as you slowly lower and descend, everything becomes bigger. That's how I see it. It's, you have to kind of go high level for a moment and see beyond what you typically see, and then you come down to the day. Um, and doing that weekly really helps move projects along. And because it's perspective and priority, that it's so interesting once you start practicing, see the month and doing it every week, how things change and shift. And you can look back on last week or the last 2 weeks and be like, wow, I can't believe how much has changed just because this and this happened. um, and that is a time mishap. People look at it, this is what I want to get done in January, February, March, but they're all interconnected. So you have to have this flow, because what happens, and it will most likely happen, that everything you wanted to get done in January, something will flow over to February. And if you've already packed February in your plan, well, we've talked about law of 100%. Something's going to have to give over to March, and there's this constant flow and effort. So having this more of weekly, month ahead look is really powerful. It's a
And
powerful.
giving, I think that time blocking, being important to not just time block or seeing that visual and time block just for work related stuff. You need to have the downtime and give yourself permission. I think that the big word here is permission to say no. And when you have a visual of where you want to be spending your time at certain things, then you give yourself permission to say no, because and you can say no because it doesn't go with your overall goal. I mean, you got to have rest or you've got to have creativity time to recharge so that you can do the work stuff. I don't think that and and I think some for some of us that are highly that that need to see that white space may give us anxiety because we've got to be busy. Fill that white space with, I don't know, pink space that says, "Hey, this is me time. This is for my creativity time." So I think that it's important because then you can say no for no, I I can't because and that's I think that we need to give ourselves permission that it's okay to have me time to recharge for other,
I think
so that we can fill other people's cups.
the biggest permission, and this is for everything that we're now teaching and coaching and sharing with our clients, the biggest permission is to stop listening to everybody else and trust your own intuition. As soon as you start thinking, oh, I should do this with my time, I should be doing this, who, according to who? Trust your own gut. You know what needs to get done. You know what your priorities are. You know what you want to do personally, professionally. In permission is the first word that we talk about in the 10 power words to replace perfection. Permission is the core of all mindset shifts. Permission is everything to having to achieving the things you want to achieve, living differently. Because permission allows us to do things differently, right? If you do the same thing over and over and expect a different outcome, what is that? That's the definition of insanity. Permission says it's okay to do it differently. It's okay to try something new. It's okay to try these time blocks. And for anyone who's never used Google Calendar, because I'm not sure, I don't remember how Outlook worked. I did that in past lives. That's the Microsoft system. And I don't know what's on an Apple product. But if you've never used Google, Google is to me, I love their time blocking. You can make the blocks colors. They're literally blocks that you put in your calendar and you can see, wait, whoa, this is too packed. I want to get to the gym or I want to go see my friend that night. And you can now move your blocks around. And then that helps you know what you can commit to. That's why the other reason why I do the 4 week look ahead, because every Monday when I do that, I'm like, oh, I forgot I added in that doctor's appointment. Oh, I forgot my daughter has a choir concert. So I want to shift things around and make sure I get to those things. And please remember, if you try time blocking, remember to include the travel time. I have so
Right?
many
Yeah.
people who
Yeah.
they're like, okay, well, I have to get my kids to school or I want to get to the gym. They forget that it takes 20 minutes to and from the gym and they'll book a call or they'll book something else. And always make sure you include the travel time in your time blocking. It's a huge stress saver.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. That buffer time and taking into account. And what goes hand in hand with that is being realistic on how much things, how much time things actually take. We can do a couple of different ways. Our minds naturally go two different directions. One, we think and we fester and it just gets in our gut. It's like, oh my gosh, this thing is going to take so long to do. And I'm just procrastinating because it's going to take forever to do. And I just don't want to do it and all of this. The other route is that we may think, oh, this doesn't take any time at all and 10 minutes and it will be done and it's no big deal. And so we grossly underestimate. So there's two pendulums here, and we both use methods to kind of combat those things. The one thing that you have is your 10 touch timers, which are amazing, that help you get into that flow. It's a timer. They're cubes. They are amazing. I love them. And we've talked about them before. But could you talk about how the direction of the, oh my gosh, it's going to take
Yep.
4 days to do this task. And I'm not even going to start, and how you use the timers.
You got it. The timer, so there's two cubes, there's adapt and flow. Adapt is the catch your breath. You got to take a break. You got to give your brain some space. There's 1, 3, 5, and 10 on that timer. It's the first timer that I was inspired to create because I believe in the 10-minute test. The 10-minute test says pick a task and just set your timer for 10 minutes. So whether you have our 10 touch timer cubes or just using your phone, set the timer to 10 minutes and just start. And magic will happen. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you. The magic that happens is you either discover it wasn't as bad as you thought, or there's something you need. And there is a possible third where you finish it in 10 minutes and your socks are blown off. Like it's an amazing thing. But in doing that, I realized there really needed to be two different timers. And the second timer, which is flow, that's your focus. So we have 15, 20, 30, and 60. And I use those in a lot of different ways. But my favorite is to take the 60 minutes, turn it over, especially on something that I'm like, this is the 4-day project. We just talked about this. There was a project for a client I kept putting off and putting off because I'm like, this is going to take my whole week. I said, you know what? I'm going to use my own rules, flip that timer over to 60, finish the task in 45 minutes. And now what I do as I do that, and I do that for a lot of important tasks, I put that time on the task. Say this should take 45 to 60 minutes. So then when I start to do it again next year, I know how to plan it in the week. This also works great at home. I have done this with my daughters. We've timed how long it takes to empty the dishwasher, 4.5 minutes. We've timed how long it takes to make a bed. So all of a sudden, what we call helper items, I don't like calling them chores. They're things that we help each other do. We know they take minutes. We've seen it. We've proven it. And now when I ask for help, they jump to it because they're like, no problem. That's 4.5 minutes. That's not a big thing out of my day. But you help show the task. I do that with team tasks, especially when you're teaching someone something new. I'm going to give you the process. I'm going to show you how it's done. And something that when we first told them might have felt overwhelming, suddenly it's like, wait, I can do this. So these are ways to make time your ally. The cubes for me, my 10 touch timers are everything. I use them all day long. And one of my favorite ways, just I'm going to throw this out there for those of us who have found ourselves with somewhere around 11 to 8 minutes before the next Zoom call. And we're like, one more task. And then you find yourself 5 minutes late for that Zoom call. That is a great place to use a timer. If you know you have 8 minutes to go, flip the timer over to 5. You'll have plenty of time to get a few emails done. And when that timer goes off, you just know you're going to click and log into the Zoom call. It has been, for me, that is such a key thing to show my respect of other people's time, both my team and clients. So, and sometimes I'm down to the second to the minute, but it's my way of fixing that habit and creating a new, better habit. So it's another way to time is not only a mindset shift, but a way to help you create other better habits.
I love that. And then the other pendulum is that, oh, that's not going to take very long. So my tool is Toggle. I originally subscribed to Toggle to record billable client hours and, uh, you know, a per hour timesheet for uh, my staff. I have since I we don't do billable hours. It's we have package pricing or value-based pricing for what we do, and I even pay my staff of like a flat rate, but we keep track of the time. And I have noticed this that when you don't do a task all the time, or you something is easy for you, but not maybe easy for other folks. But even when you're running your own business and you used to do those tasks, your mind gets augmented on how long something actually takes. Because when something in your gut saying, "Oh, that's no big deal," I will redesign your website and it'll only take me an hour. Yeah, you totally. No, it does not, because there's so many. I mean, I doing an email campaign for, I do that all the time. But if I don't keep track of how long it takes when I'm talking to a client or something, it's like, oh yeah, no big deal. I don't plan my time accordingly. And well, I use Toggle and I have tags for different things so that I can go back. And if I'm doing a new proposal, for example, and I'm kind of seeing, okay, how much time does certain things take? How much time does event planning and everything that goes with that that virtual event? What's the realistic? Because there's a lot of things that go involved in that. It's not just one piece. Being realistic about that, even though I don't do time based pricing like billable hours anymore, to plan out a project realistically, that's a good thing to do. It's like, oh, this is this is not going to take, a day to redesign your whole website. It's going to take about 6 months because what you're asking is really a big thing. And it also uh, it just helps. And I have been using Toggle as well for personal things. If I want to do professional development or personal development or spend time uh, working on the ambulance, Clifford's, I will actually clock that because I have specific goals on that. And then I can go back. It's like, if I feel good or bad, I don't want it to be a negative thing. It is what it is. But if I'm intentional in tracking it, I know that I'm getting somewhere because I've got focus time and I've actually tracked it. So my Google Calendar is my intention. I have these focus times, and then I have got my toggle linked with my Google Calendar. So I just click on that block of time of when I start and stop it, even though it may not be the exact time that's on my Google Calendar. And then I can show what I actually did, you know, and and just use those reports as data, not a emotion. Hey, I'm beating myself up because I did this, but a realistic measure of, well, no wonder I'm not getting anywhere on this project is because, or no wonder I'm not getting anywhere on oh, my own content writing is because that I'm not actually working on it. Oh, no wonder. I need to clock the time or look how much I've gotten done because I worked my goals of that many hours. So I use Google for planning and the data from Toggle to actually show what has been done. And that helps me both on the client side and the personal side. So those are my two tools. And I love your timers because I use those as well because I have them, you know, as like you said, it's like, okay, I've got 5 minutes, or I can use this for 5 minutes to get a quick focus, or I will turn the timer on to give me an alarm, if you will, of let's go. So I use all of those tools in a way that, but I use the data from Toggle to get my head out of the clouds and have a realistic knowing of how much time does things actually take instead of having that head in the clouds of like, oh, I could do that for you. Well, yeah, I can do that for you, but not in 10 minutes. Uh, well, I want to finish by saying that I want to caution whatever tools we use in making time our ally is that it's very, very important not to fall into a trap of feeling bad and beating ourselves up when we're using these time management tools, or I'd like to say time intention. How, can you remind us, Fran, how do you just combat those negative feelings? How should we combat those negative feelings and make time our ally?
The word of the day is permission. Give yourself permission to try. Give yourself permission for it to not go so well. Permission to try different calendars. I've tried different time management software applications. Didn't all work. It's okay. When something goes wrong, we say celebrate every step, whether it's forwards, backwards, sideways, or diagonal, celebrate it. If you are trying to improve your relationship with time, that's all that matters. So if one day it goes really well, awesome, celebrate it. If the next day it doesn't go so well, that's okay too. Celebrate it. Talk, share, try, adapt. Things that we share, make it your own. Um, all I know is that negative feelings are just barriers. Anything negative is draining. It takes away your energy. It has, there's a great saying in my daughter's first grade class many, many years ago. It says, worry does not prevent what's happening today, it drains tomorrow of its energy. And negative feelings, anytime you feel it creep in, just know the fact that it's creeping in means you're trying. You're aware that I have to make this change to time. So shift back to celebrating. Hey, but I'm here. I'm doing it. That's it's not one tool. Combating those negative feelings is really, that's the change the thought, change everything. Take that pause and celebrate where you are, even if where you are isn't where you really want to be.
I love that, Fran, because adaptability. And who's to say, I mean, these tools that we shared today and how we block our time and how we track our time, and we've been using a lot, a lot for a long time, but that doesn't mean we've adapted. We haven't changed things from time to time. Our the details of what we do within those constraints, they're not constraints, but what we've done, who's to say that we're not going to change and adapt as we enter different seasons of our business, enters different seasons of our life? And I think that's a big, big thing. Once we use these tools, who's to say we're not going to try something else? Because we are always trying to adapt, and the biggest thing is shifting our mindset into a positive instead of beating ourselves up. And permission is the big thing. And how can we enter that positive permission to ourselves and finding the right tools to help lift us up, not bring us down. Right. So I appreciate everyone listening today. I hope that we've inspired you to take action. And any final words, Fran?
There's a saying that time is golden. I have a different spin on it. I think there are hidden golden moments in our calendars every week, and it's just up to us to find them and make the most of them.
I love that. Remember, every successful journey begins with that first step. Don't let the start stop you from pursuing your dreams and creating the business and life you desire. Until next time, live full, work fun. Yay! Hold on. Hey, can I call you right back?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
I don't think I. Oops. I might have. Oh, we're still recording.